I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Budi 95 quota raised to 800 litres per month for e-hailing drivers. And Singapore introduces caning for scammers under new law. We begin with the story. The second reading of the 2026 supply bill, also known as the 2026 budget, was passed in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday through a block vote. Now, Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Johari Abdul announced that 120 members of parliament voted in favour of the bill, 67 voted against, with 35 absent. The bill will now move to the committee stage for further debate. On October 10th, the government tabled the 2026 budget themed Belanjawan Rakyat with a record allocation of 470 billion ringgit, the fourth national budget under Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim's leadership. The budget focuses on easing living costs, strengthening the public health care system, and promoting sustainable economic growth. It also outlines measures to boost employment, public health, and fiscal sustainability. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim was accorded a state welcoming ceremony at the Al Yamamah Palace in conjunction with his 4-day state visit to Saudi Arabia. The event commenced at about 1:30 p.m. local time, with Sultan Ibrahim received by Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. During the state welcoming ceremony, the national anthems of both countries were played, and His Majesty and the Crown Prince inspected the Guard of Honour before proceeding to the entrance of Al Yamamah Palace. Officials from both Saudi Arabia and Malaysia were then introduced to Sultan Ibrahim and the Crown Prince before they proceeded to the audience room. Following the meeting, His Majesty attended a state banquet at the same venue, hosted by the Crown Prince, before departing for his hotel in Riyadh. Sultan Ibrahim arrived in Riyadh around noon on Monday, marking the first state visit by a Malaysian king to Saudi Arabia since the visit by Al-Mahrum Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah in 1984. The government has agreed to increase the fuel subsidy limit under the Budi Madani RON 95 program for eligible e-hailing drivers to 800 litres per month. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the increase, which is subject to travel conditions, was made after reviewing feedback from the group concerned.
Maka kerajaan, saya nak umumkan di sini, bersetuju meningkatkan had kelayakan Budi 95 bagi pemandu e-hailing yang layak kepada sehingga 800 liter sebulan. Ya. Maknanya 5,000 kilometer. Ya. 5,000 kilometer tertakluk kepada syarat perjalanan yang ditetapkan.
Anwar, who is also the finance minister, announced this during the Prime Minister's question time in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday. In a statement, the Finance Ministry said the travel distance threshold for e-hailing drivers eligible for the 600-litre quota has also been reduced from 3,000 kilometres to 2,000 kilometres per month. The adjustment takes into account unrecorded trips made without passengers, which are not captured by e-hailing operator applications. In addition, airport taxis, excluding limousines, have been listed as vehicles entitled to subsidized RON 95 petrol under the Subsidized Petrol Control Scheme. The Budi 95 facility has also been extended to fishermen without driving licenses through collaboration with the Fisheries Development Authority of Malaysia and the Sabah and Sarawak state governments. The targeted petrol subsidy initiative is expected to help the government save around 2.5 billion ringgit annually. Gabungan E-Hailing Malaysia, or GEM, has welcomed the government's decision to raise the monthly RON 95 fuel subsidy quota for eligible e-hailing drivers. Its chief activist, Jose Rizal, said the bold and timely move is aligned with the principles of the Madani economy, which upholds social justice and the well-being of working Malaysians.
The Prime Minister announcement shows that the government is listening to the voices of the e-hailing community and recognizing our crucial role in driving the people's economy.
Jose also said the government should look into refining the initiative's rollout, including giving attention and flexibility to drivers who were excluded and reviewing the eligibility criteria to better reflect real conditions on the ground. Meanwhile, e-hailing drivers expressed their appreciation for the increase in the quota.
800 itu memang baik lah kan. Tak payah 800 tak payah fikir banyak. Tak payah berhenti kerja, tak payah apa kan, terus sambung kerja.
Kita sambut positif lah cadangan ni sebabnya penggunaan kita terlalu banyak untuk drive jauh-jauh hantar customer. Dalam sebulan tu memang beribu-ribu kilometer lah kita perlukan.
Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Dato Armizan Muhammad Ali, meanwhile, said incidents involving RON 95 fuel misappropriation and smuggling have declined since the rollout of the Budi 95 program. The data is based on nationwide monitoring and enforcement operations conducted by his ministry.
Bagi tempoh 31 Ogos 2025 hingga 29 September 2025, sebanyak 71 kes dengan 32,229 liter petrol telah disita berbanding penurunan kepada 61 kes dengan 17,724 liter petrol RON 95 disita.
He added that a total of 1,690 cases of RON 95 petrol misappropriation with a seizure value of 1.6 million ringgit have been recorded from January 2024 until October 29th this year. Armizan also said that his ministry will investigate cases involving motorcycle license holders in border areas who fully utilize the 300-liter subsidized petrol limit. He stressed that legal action will be taken if purchases are found to be made for misappropriation or smuggling purposes. Back at the Dewan Rakyat, Anwar once again reiterated that the agreement on reciprocal trade or ART between Malaysia and the United States is in no way in conflict with the federal constitution or the country's laws. He also rebuked the opposition for claiming that the Attorney General's Chamber's statement on Monday on the agreement was politically motivated. According to Anwar, the AG's chambers has been given a crucial role in ensuring that all government agreements, including the ART, are in line with national laws and the federal constitution.
Berapa keputusan perbincangan kita dalam Jemaah Menteri, kemudian kita ubah sesuai setelah mendapat input daripada Jabatan Peguam Negara. Itu cara kita kerja. Ya. Yang kepala dari segi rundingan itu memang dari MITI. Ya. Tetapi bila bincang soal halal, JAKI masuk. Bila bincang soal import daging, Kementerian Pertanian masuk. Tapi dari keseluruhannya undang-undangnya, Jabatan Peguam Negara yang dibincangkan dalam Jemaah Menteri.
In its statement, the AG's chambers clarified that Putrajaya reserves the right to terminate the ART at any time by way of a written notice without requiring Washington's consent. Anwar also expressed hope that there would be an end to the opposition's baseless accusations against the AG's chambers.
Kenyataan yang dikeluarkan oleh Peguam Negara itu kerana mereka teliti. Janganlah kata politik, dia teliti, kemudian ini pandangan dia. Tak boleh yang ini boleh. Kemudian itu dia pertahankanlah keputusan. Apa salah? Apa yang politiknya?
The Prime Minister also reiterated that Malaysia is not the only country negotiating such an agreement with the U.S., noting that major powers like China have done the same. Under the agreement, the U.S. has agreed to maintain a 19% tariff cap on imports of Malaysian products. The deal also grants zero tariff exemptions for 1,711 Malaysian products in the electronics, rubber, and palm oil derivative sectors. Malaysia, in turn, has agreed to provide market access for U.S. industrial goods. During the Dewan Rakyat session, Anwar also criticized certain quarters for manipulating religion merely to question the government's efforts to advocate for the Palestinian cause before U.S. President Donald Trump.
Soal Gaza ini mesti ada penyelesaian komprehensif. Nak sebut apa lagi? Itu dah maksimal. Lihat dari kunjungan kepada negara lain. Negara mana yang sebut depan Trump itu? Saya sebut. Kerana saya mewakili Malaysia. Ya. Presiden Trump melawat beberapa negara. Berapa negara yang sebut depan Presiden Trump, kita perlu comprehensive solution. Depan muka dia. Ya. Jadi, ini yang kita lakukan.
Anwar said he had raised the call for a comprehensive solution 3 times publicly with Trump, not including their private conversation inside the U.S. leader's official vehicle. In a related development, Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan said Malaysia will participate in the Gaza Reconstruction Conference to be held this month in Egypt as part of joint efforts to strengthen international support for the recovery of the war-torn territory.
Saya juga dihubungi oleh rakan sejawat daripada Mesir dan pada 6 bulan rakan sejawat daripada France, kerana mereka berdua inilah yang membuatkan the New York Declaration ataupun deklarasi New York, iaitu Egypt dan juga France sebagai sponsor menjemput Malaysia, dan bahkan Malaysia nak dijemput sebagai co-convener kepada usaha reconstruction of Gaza, pembinaan semula Gaza. Jadi kita akan ke sana.
He added that Malaysia will contribute to the reconstruction of Gaza to help alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people, even if recovery may not happen immediately. At an event in Kuala Lumpur, the Prime Minister called for greater recognition of lower-level workers, emphasizing the importance of upholding human values in business practices. Anwar stressed that these workers should not be looked down upon as they contribute significantly to a company's overall success. Speaking at the launch of the National Heart Institute, or IJN University College, Anwar said private companies must not neglect their lower-tier employees once they begin making profits.
Tapi kejayaan IJN itu juga kerana ini yang tukang cuci. Selain jururawat, technician, yang tukang cuci, yang bersihkan tempat. Kalau tidak mungkin IJN itu akan terkenal. Ini yang saya tekankan.
He also said that national progress holds no real meaning if the poor and marginalized are left behind. Economic growth and efficiency, Anwar added, must go hand in hand with fairness and social responsibility. $7.8 billion ringgit was generated in green investments in Malaysia last year, driven by various green technology initiatives. Acting Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said over 2,000 green job opportunities were also created through initiatives such as the International Green Tech and Eco Products Exhibition and Conference Malaysia, or IGEM.
Bagi tahun 2024, nilai penjanaan pelaburan hijau adalah sebanyak 7.8 bilion, meliputi sumbangan daripada inisiatif Green Investment Tax Allowance, Green Technology Financing Scheme dan juga serta Exhibition IGEM. Sumbangan ini termasuk komitmen pelaburan yang diraih melalui siri IGM sejak 2020 yang telah berjaya menjana lebih 10 bilion potensi pelaburan hijau setakat ini.
He also highlighted the need for Malaysia to move beyond being just a user of green technology and instead evolve into a technology provider under the National Resource Efficiency Strategy, or NRES 2024 to 2030 plan. This effort is being driven through collaboration across ministries and agencies to ensure that talent development aligns with the needs of the low-carbon industry. Malaysia is on track to become one of the largest data center markets in the Asia-Pacific region, with total capacity projected to expand more than fourfold after 2026. According to JLL Malaysia's Capital Markets Manager for Data Center Transactions, Sum Chun Kit, the country's current data center capacity is expected to surpass 4,000 megawatts within the next few years.
Cyberjaya, Bukit Jalil KL City Centre, these are the hotspots. So Cyberjaya has always been the hotspot for enterprises co-location data centers. But over the past few years, we are seeing a lot of hyperscalers entering into Cyberjaya. And they've started their contract.
He noted that Johor is also emerging as a strategic hub with developments in Nusajaya and the Sabrina Tech Park. Meanwhile, Negeri Sembilan is attracting new hyperscale developers in Nilai and Port Dickson, supported by more competitive land pricing. Police tracking down Name Wee following Taiwanese influencer's death. More from the local front after this breather.
Apa kata kalau kita pergi Ipoh?
Melaka dengan Johor pun best juga.
Siapa yang tertinggal ni? Mana ambil lah.
Penama pertama memijak bahagian belakang tengkuk si mati dan telah pun mengelar lehernya.
Kalau kita sembelih orang, dia bunyi macam lembu kena sembelih tu, agak-agak mati tak?
Bukan sekali ditikam tapi 3 kali. Tak cukup dengan itu, leher mangsa juga terdapat kesan kelab.
Kita pergi saja ke tempat kejadian, nak masuk, keluar bau wangi yang semua bau yang wangi. Betul-betul bau wangi.
Relax. Zara tak ada
Seorang wanita ditemui mati, dipukul oleh suami di Kedah.
Kenapa susah sangat kau nak terima aku?
Hidup ni bukan pasal cinta je lah. It's much more than that.
Aku nak jaga kau dan aku takkan lupakan lagi hati kau. Tash.
Mr. Ivan.
Aku doakan kau bahagia.
Jika itu salahku, Jumaat dan Sabtu 9 malam di Lestari TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Aku rasa Jess tak sesuai berkawan dengan Syawal.
I'm not giving you hope. There's no us.
Syawal! Hei! Asal kau lari tu?
Ayah sekarang ni tengah risau dekat kau tau.
Anis.
Kau ni kenapa? Kau jangan sakit aku lagi boleh tak?
Weh, apa tu?
Bintang di Langit Syawal setiap Isnin hingga Khamis 10 malam di Samarinda TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. After 7 long years in the dock, Datuk Sri Najib Razak's corruption trial over the misappropriation of 2.3 billion ringgit from One Malaysia Development Berhad or 1MDB has finally reached its end. Najib's lead counsel, Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi'i Abdullah, wrapped up his submissions before presiding judge, Datuk Colin Lawrence Sequeira, on Tuesday. During the proceedings, Sequeira, who now serves on the Court of Appeal, instructed both parties to resolve several minor issues through written submissions to be filed before the court delivers its decision. Last Friday, the trial judge informed both parties that the verdict will be delivered on December 26th. Earlier in his submissions, Shafi'i contended that the prosecution against Najib was politically motivated and urged the High Court to acquit and discharge his client. Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Ahmad Akram Garib, however, maintained that the prosecution's case against the former Prime Minister remains solid. On October 30th last year, Sequeira ordered Najib to enter his defence after ruling that the prosecution had established a prima facie case. Najib faces 4 charges of abuse of power and 21 for money laundering involving 2.28 billion ringgit in 1MDB funds allegedly deposited into his bank accounts between February 2011 and December 2014. Police are tracking down film director and rapper Wee Meng Chi, better known as Name Wee, in connection with the death of Taiwanese influencer Xian Yun-shin, as he was the last person to be seen with the victim on October 22nd. The 42-year-old is believed to have gone into hiding after the case, initially classified as sudden death, was reclassified as murder following new findings. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Dato' Fadil Marsus said they believe Namewee is aware of the ongoing investigation and of the search for him through media reports.
Individu yang bersama mangsa tu kita anggap terlibatlah as for now untuk membantu siasatan dulu.
Fadil said the victim's death was initially classified as sudden death. However, after suspicious elements were detected, police reopened the investigation under Section 302 of the Penal Code.
Siasatan sedang berjalanlah. Akan ambil semua angle siasatan. Kita akan kaji balik semua pergerakan mangsa dan juga so-called suspect yang kita kena pasti. Dan insyaAllah tangkapan akan dibuatlah dalam masa terdekat insyaAllah.
He added that police have recorded statements from staff and security personnel at the victim's hotel and are reviewing her movements from the airport to her hotel room. Authorities are also awaiting the full post-mortem report and toxicology test results. On October 22nd, Xie, also known as Iris, was found dead in the bathtub of her hotel room at around 1:40 p.m. She was reported to have entered Malaysia 2 days earlier on October 20th. On Monday, it was reported that Namewee was detained on the same day at the hotel after he was suspected of possessing and using drugs. In other news, in Pahang, the Customs Department dismantled a smuggling syndicate following the seizure of contraband cigarettes worth 1.6 million ringgit during a raid on a house in Kuantan. The syndicate's modus operandi involved renting a residential property and using it as a storage site for untaxed goods. State Customs Director Muhammad Asri Saman said enforcement officers raided the house on Sunday and found 1.5 million sticks of cigarettes packed in large boxes. No occupants were found during the operation, and investigations revealed that the house had been rented by a group of foreign men over the past 2 months. The cigarettes are believed to have been smuggled in from a neighboring country and were intended for distribution within Kuantan and nearby districts. Efforts are ongoing to track down the mastermind and other members of the syndicate. The case is being investigated under the Customs Act for storing, concealing, and possessing uncustomed or prohibited goods. David Beckham receives knighthood. The details when Nightline returns.
Penama pertama memijak bahagian belakang tengkuk cimati dan telah pun mengelar lehernya.
Kalau kita sembelih orang, dia bunyi macam lembu kena sembelih tu, agak-agak mati tak?
Bukan sekali ditikam tapi 3 kali. Tak cukup dengan itu, leher mangsa juga terdapat kesan kelab.
Kita pergi saja ke tempat kejadian, nak masuk, keluar bau wangi yang semua bau yang wangi. Betul-betul bau wangi.
Bersangka buruk dia tidak baik.
Kutuk-kutuk depan sini.
Selalu kena kecam dengan netizen.
Jangan main fitnah je netizen.
Kalau berani buat lah.
Gaduh.
Tak, bukan.
Saya pun nervous juga. Kita pun dah happy ending. Jangan lupa saksikan Melodi setiap hari Khamis pukul 9 malam di TV3.
Dan stream juga kali tonton.
Swipe right.
Serius lah. Awak main aplikasi cari jodoh. Mentaliti inilah yang masyarakat kita kena buang. Tak salah pun guna aplikasi dan media sosial untuk cari pasangan. Penyakit gangguan tidur atau apnea sleep disorder, apa punca dan rawatannya. Cara generasi muda sekarang berkomunikasi. Kadang-kadang banyak guna bahasa kasar. Ibu bapa perlu main peranan. Lembu, kerbau, kambing banyak berkeliaran dekat kawasan perumahan dan kampung. Boleh undang bahaya. Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi. Stream ditonton dan eksklusif di TV3. Wanita hari ini. Kadang-kadang kita perlu berhutang. Tapi dia susah nak bayar hutang. Macam mana tu? Siji loro telu papat. Bukan belajar bahasa Jawa tapi menu Jawa. Berkongsi masalah rumah tangga sekarang ni macam dah dinormalisasikan. Menang hari ini tapi apakah kesan pembesaran terhadap anak-anak? Permainan video itu seronok tapi mengundang bahaya. Juga perbincangan mengenai virus HPV kami sini. Awak, adakah perkahwinan tanpa zurat itu mampu pertahankan cinta? Kenapa tidak? Lain orang, lain rezekinya. Semuanya di Wanita Hari Ini TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui tonton. Wanita Hari Ini.
We're back with the foreign front. Scammers in Singapore will face mandatory caning of at least 6 strokes, with the punishment rising to 24 strokes depending on the severity of the offence under new laws passed in Parliament on Tuesday. Now, the Criminal Law Miscellaneous Amendments Bill introduces harsher penalties for members of scam syndicates, recruiters and accomplices such as money mules who provide bank accounts, SIM cards or SingPass credentials. Money mules could also receive up to 12 strokes of the cane at the court's discretion. The proposal to cane scammers was first made in March by Jurong GRC Member of Parliament Dr. Tan Wu Meng after one of his constituents lost her life savings to a scam. Between 2020 and the first half of 2025, about 190,000 scam cases were reported, with total losses amounting to 3.7 billion Singapore dollars or 11.9 billion ringgit. In the U.S., voters in New Jersey and Virginia will elect new governors on Tuesday, offering an early test of public reaction to President Donald Trump's first 9 months in office. Meanwhile, in New York City's mayoral race, Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, a 34-year-old Democratic socialist, faces 67-year-old former Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is running as an independent. Opinion polls showed Mamdani holding a clear lead over Cuomo and Republican Curtis Lewa. Trump, however, has thrown his support behind Cuomo, threatening to curb federal aid if Mamdani wins. More than 3 million people voted early in Virginia, New York, and New Jersey, all surpassing turnout from 4 years ago. Polls will close first in Virginia at 7 p.m. local time, followed by New Jersey, New York, and California later in the evening. Meanwhile, airports across the U.S. experienced major delays and cancellations due to an uptick in absences from air traffic controllers who are under immense stress and fatigue from the ongoing record-breaking government shutdown. More than 16,700 flights were delayed and another 2,282 were cancelled over the weekend from Friday to Sunday. According to FlightAware, delays continued into Monday evening, with more than 4,000 flights delayed and 600 cancelled across major airports, including Chicago O'Hare, Dallas-Fort Worth, Denver, and Newark. The Federal Aviation Administration said half of its core 30 facilities at major U.S. airports were experiencing staffing shortages due to the shutdown, with absences at New York area airports hitting 80%. Air traffic controllers are classified as essential workers, meaning they've been working without pay since the shutdown began on October 1st. The U.S. government shutdown will enter its 35th day on Tuesday, matching the 2018 to 2019 shutdown as the longest in history. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres on Tuesday said he was deeply concerned about continued violations of the Gaza ceasefire, which have seen Israel kill almost 250 Palestinians since October 10th.
I'm also deeply concerned about the continued violations of the ceasefire in Gaza. They must stop, and all parties must abide by the decisions of the first phase of the peace agreement.
Meanwhile, the Israeli military continued its attacks, with warplanes reportedly carrying out fresh airstrikes in southern Gaza on Tuesday, targeting Bani Suhaila east of Khan Yunis, though no casualties were reported. This comes a day after Israel released the remains of 45 Palestinians following Hamas's handover of 3 dead Israeli soldiers held in Gaza. Now at least 26 people were killed and hundreds of thousands displaced as rains driven by Typhoon Kalmegi flooded swathes of the central Philippines on Tuesday. Although Kalmegi weakened after making landfall early Tuesday, it continued to batter the country with winds of 130 kilometers per hour as it moved across the Visayas and northern Palawan towards the South China Sea. Entire towns on Cebu Island were submerged as cars, trucks, and large shipping containers were swept away by muddy floodwaters. Tens of thousands of residents were also evacuated across the Visayas region. Meanwhile, Vietnam has prepared for the worst as Kalmegi was forecast to make landfall in the country's central regions on Thursday night. Switching to sports, football. National team advisor Tunku Mahkota Ismail Ibni Sultan Ibrahim has accused FIFA of misapplying its own rules and punishing 7 naturalized Malaysian footballers, calling the year-long suspensions politically motivated. He said Article 22 of FIFA's disciplinary code only allows punishment for those who falsify or use falsified documents, which he claimed did not apply to the players involved. Tunku Ismail affirmed that he would continue to stand by the affected players and support their efforts at all costs until the end. The Johor region added that the matter would be taken to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, which he described as an independent body to seek justice for the players. FIFA on Monday upheld the sanctions against FAM and 7 players for alleged document falsification and imposed a fine of about 1.9 million ringgit on FAM and a 12-month suspension for each player. Still on football, one of Britain's most celebrated football players, Sir David Beckham, was knighted by King Charles at Windsor Castle on Tuesday, recognizing his decades-long contribution to sport and charitable causes. Now, the 50-year-old former England football captain received the honour at the royal residence more than 20 years after he was awarded a separate royal honour recognizing his contribution to football. Born in East London, Beckham made his Premier League debut for Manchester United in 1995, 2 years after he joined as a trainee. He went on to win 6 league titles, 2 FA Cups and the Champions League with the club. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at the Takugama Chimpanzee Sanctuary in Sierra Leone as the world-renowned reserve reopens to the public after a 5-month closure in protest of deforestation. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and take care.